Look at your hand for a moment. Really look. Do you see the letter M traced in the lines of your palm? Do you notice a faint crescent, a half-moon curve near the base of your thumb? If you do, then this is not just another video. And these are not just random lines. This is a summons. You were guided here because heaven needed a way to speak to you in a language you could not ignore anymore. Your own skin. For years you have felt it, even if you never had the words. That strange distance inside you, even when you are surrounded by people. The way noise feels heavier to you than to others. How crowded rooms drain you, small talk exhausts you, and yet silence feels like both a wound and a refuge. You have wondered, what is wrong with me? The answer is simple and sacred at the same time. Nothing is wrong with you. You are marked. Those two signs on your palm, the M and the crescent moon, are not decoration. They are code. Old teachings speak of souls who carry earth and heaven in one body. People who are never fully comfortable being only spiritual or only practical. People who feel like they live between worlds. They are called bridge souls. They come during times of confusion, darkness, and noise, not to be swallowed by it, but to anchor light in the middle of it. If your heart is pounding a little harder right now, if your body feels that familiar pull in your chest or in your hands, then your initiation has already begun. You're not listening to this by accident. You are remembering something your soul has always known. Before we go any deeper, I want you to do something that will seal this moment inside you. Go to the comments and write, "I accept my true purpose." Not as a cute phrase, but as a declaration. When you write it, you are not talking to me. You are talking to your own soul. You are saying, "I hear you. I am ready to stop pretending I am ordinary." And while you are there, if you feel this message touching something you could never explain to anyone, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Stay close to this space. Here, every word is crafted for people like you, the ones who were marked and never told why. Subscribing is not just supporting content. It is you choosing to walk with others who carry the same signs, the same sensitivity, the same hidden strength. Because from this point forward, nothing in your life will feel the same. The loneliness, the silence, the strange intuition that has followed you for years, all of it is about to be revealed for what it truly is. A divine test. Not a test to see if you're good enough, but a test to activate what is already inside you. There are 3 sacred trials every marked soul must pass. They come through isolation, through intuition, and through purpose. If you have felt life pushing people away from you, if you have felt your inner voice growing louder, if you have felt torn between the life you built and the life you secretly long for, you are already inside these tests. Stay with me until the end. Chosen one. By the time this journey is complete, you will not only understand what the M and the crescent mean, you will know exactly why you were born with them and how to rise in the power they were always meant to awaken. You have felt it for a long time, even before you knew to call it anything. That quiet ache that sits just beneath your ribs. The sense that you are never fully with the people around you, even when you are physically right beside them. You can laugh, you can talk, you can play your role, but something in you always remains observing from a distance, almost like your soul is sitting a few steps behind your body. And for years, you assumed this meant something was wrong with you. You told yourself you were too quiet, too sensitive, too strange. But what if I told you that this distance was not rejection? It was preparation. Ancient palmistry called the letter M the mark of mission. It appears on the hands of those who came to see what others cannot, to sense truth before it is spoken, to walk ahead of the crowd, not inside it. But before a guide can lead anyone, the universe must first pull them out of the noise. Because noise kills clarity. That is why, if you look back over the last few years, you will notice a pattern that does not feel random at all. Friendships that once felt solid simply drifted away. Group chats turned quiet. Environments that used to feel comfortable suddenly became heavy, suffocating. Places that used to fit you started to feel too small. It felt like life was shrinking around you. In reality, life was narrowing your path. You were not being excluded, you were being extracted. The universe has been removing you from circles, conversations, and systems that dilute your energy. People you thought you needed stopped understanding you. Spaces that once entertained you started draining you. Invitations came less and less often. At first, you felt offended, abandoned, even cursed. You thought, why is everyone leaving? Why does no one see me? Why am I always the one on the outside looking in? But here is the deeper truth. You were never meant to disappear into the crowd. You were meant to hear something they cannot hear. And to hear it, you had to be separated. This is the first test of the marked one, the test of isolation. It is not about how many people you can hold on to. It is about whether you will still trust your path when it feels like no one is standing beside you. The question is not, can you handle being alone? The question is, can you trust yourself when no one claps, no one validates, no one understands? Because that is what this season has been teaching you. To build your confidence from silence instead of from applause. To find validation not in being invited, but in being aligned. Think about how you live today. You speak less than you used to. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to everyone. You prefer deep conversations to small talk. You choose a quiet evening alone over a noisy room full of people who do not see you. Some days it worries you. You wonder if you are withdrawing too much. But another part of you feels an unmistakable peace in this solitude. That peace is the clue. It is your soul exhaling, saying, finally, I can hear myself. In this first test, heaven is watching one thing. Will you try to run back to the noise just because the silence scares you? Or will you stay in the desert long enough for your own voice to become familiar? Because every prophet, every spiritual leader, every true light bearer walks through this same loneliness. They lose people. They lose their old identity. They lose the comfort of belonging. And in that emptiness, they finally discover something far greater, the sound of their own soul, which turns out to be the sound of the divine speaking within. The moment you stop chasing rooms that do not resonate with you, the isolation shifts. Not because the old crowd comes back, but because you no longer need them to feel whole. You realize you were never truly misunderstood. You were simply misplaced. You were trying to root yourself in ground that could not hold the kind of tree you were becoming. And when that truth lands, the universe whispers over you. Good. You passed. You remained standing even when no one was cheering. You allowed solitude to make you solid. This is the hidden purpose of the first test. It pulls you away from what is shallow so that what is sacred in you can finally rise. And once that inner stillness is established, once you are no longer afraid of being alone, something new begins to stir in the silence. Strange dreams, repeating numbers, sudden knowings that arrive before thoughts. That is how you know the second test has already been unlocked. The test of intuition. After the isolation settles in and you stop fighting the silence, something subtle begins to change inside you. It does not arrive with fireworks or dramatic visions. It comes softly, like a whisper that keeps returning no matter how many times you try to ignore it. You start thinking of someone you have not spoken to in years, and suddenly their name appears on your screen. You dream of a number, a place, a symbol, and days later you see it in real life, exactly as it appeared in your sleep. You walk into a room, and without anyone saying a word, you feel who is broken, who is angry, who is lying to themselves. At first, you tell yourself it is nothing. Coincidence, overthinking, just your imagination. But deep down, a question begins to form. What if it is not? This is where the second test begins, the test of intuition. When the crescent moon line curves beneath your thumb, It carries more than just a pretty shape. It is an energetic antenna, a bridge between what the eyes can see and what the spirit can sense. You have been feeling that signal your entire life. As a child, you might have been sensitive to certain people, uneasy in certain houses, or calmed by certain places without knowing why. Forests, oceans, the night sky. These always felt safer than crowded rooms. You felt more at home under the moon than under bright lights. You did not have language for it back then, but your soul was already listening. As you grew older, the world trained you to shut that channel down. Be logical, they said. Stop being dramatic. Stop overreacting. Stop being so sensitive. So you tried. You told yourself your body was lying whenever your chest tightened around someone who seemed nice. You dismissed the chill that crawled up your spine when something was wrong. You overrode your own warnings to keep the peace, to fit in, to be normal. And each time you ignored that inner nudge, life answered with louder lessons, relationships that broke you, jobs that drained you, situations that looked safe but ended in pain. Look back honestly now. Before every major mistake, before every betrayal, before every moment you later called a red flag, did your intuition try to speak first? Did you feel that heaviness in your chest, that knot in your stomach, that quiet no in your spirit? Just once, even for a second, before your mind talked you out of it? That was not anxiety. That was not paranoia. That was your crescent mark doing its job, receiving information from the unseen and sending it through your body. Your hands, your heart, your nervous system have always known the truth before your thoughts caught up. The problem was never that God stopped guiding you. The problem was that you were trained not to trust the way He speaks. The second test is simple in theory, but difficult in practice. Will you finally believe your own knowing, even when you have no evidence yet? This test rarely shows up as a dramatic crisis. It shows up in the small, quiet choices. The job that looks perfect on paper but makes your stomach sink. The friendship that feels heavy even though nothing is wrong. The opportunity that sparkles on the surface but makes your spirit whisper, "This is not for you." The world will always tell you to choose what is safe, what is familiar, what everyone else would pick. Your intuition will often say the opposite, and in that tension lies your exam. The more you ignore your inner signal, the louder life becomes. Patterns repeat. The same type of person shows up in a different body. The same heartbreak wears a different name. You call it bad luck or a curse, but really it is the universe asking, did you hear yourself the first time? When you carry the crescent mark, you do not get to live like everyone else. Your guidance system is too loud. Your soul will let you feel the consequence of denying yourself, not as punishment, but as instruction. It will let your body grow tired for no reason, your passions die slowly, your joy fade from things that once excited you. That emptiness is not proof that you are broken. It is proof that you have outgrown the life you keep forcing. But something miraculous happens the moment you decide to honor your inner yes and no. Doors that were stuck begin to close quickly, without drama. As if the universe is relieved you finally listened. People who were always halfway in your life drift out completely. An odd, quiet space opens up, and almost immediately, new doors appear where there were none before. An opportunity arrives that feels strangely right, even if it makes no logical sense. A person enters your life whose energy feels like exhaling. Paths that once required pushing suddenly unfold with ease. You realize that life has always been responding to your inner frequency. When your decisions were out of alignment, everything felt like a fight. When you begin to choose what matches your truth, everything begins to flow. Intuition does not come to replace logic. It comes to complete it. Logic can compare facts and plan routes. It builds maps. But intuition feels the weather. It knows when the road is clear and when a storm is waiting ahead, even if no one else can see the clouds yet. When your M and your crescent work separately, you live split in two. One part of you climbing ladders, signing contracts, making plans, while the other part feels like it is dying inside. When they work together, something else emerges. Your decisions become cleaner. Your movements become calmer. You find yourself saying no quicker, yes slower, and "I don't feel peace about this" becomes a valid reason to walk away, even if you cannot explain it to anyone else. This is how you pass the second test. Not by never doubting, but by choosing, again and again, to trust the voice that rises before fear, before overthinking, before other people's opinions. The moment you stop asking the world for permission to believe yourself. The crescent mark on your hand does what it was always meant to do. It lights up in the unseen like a beacon, sending a clear signal upward. I'm listening now. And heaven responds by speaking more often, more clearly, more directly, through synchronicities, timing, symbols, encounters, and messages like the one you are reading right now. When you reach that point, when you feel the quiet pride of knowing you followed your inner guidance, even when no one agreed, something inside you changes permanently. You are no longer just surviving your life. You are steering it. You have walked through isolation. You have learned to trust the invisible. And with those two tests passed, the universe prepares you for the hardest and most beautiful initiation of all. The test of purpose, where everything you have learned must finally become the life you live. There comes a moment on every chosen one's path when life stops asking, "What do you believe?" and begins asking, "What are you willing to become?" You have already walked through the silence of isolation. You have already learned to recognize and trust the quiet voice of your intuition. But now something heavier arrives. It does not feel like a whisper. It feels like a pull. Two forces inside you, tugging in different directions. One part of you wants stability, security, something you can explain to your family and put on a resume. The other part feels restless in anything that doesn't carry meaning, service, or truth. You get a promotion and feel strangely empty. You reach a goal and feel nothing but a quiet, "Is this all?" echoing in your chest. This inner war is not a sign that you are confused or broken. It is the beginning of the third test, the test of purpose. The letter M in your palm was never just a random pattern. It is the mark of building power, the ability to shape reality, to lead, to organize, to manifest in the material world. The crescent line, curving like a small moon, is the mark of spiritual power, of feeling, of insight, of connection to the unseen. Most people walk through life with one of these capacities stronger than the other. They are either grounded but numb, or spiritual but unanchored. You, however, were born carrying both codes in one body. That double frequency is a gift, but it is also the reason your life has always felt more intense than other people's. When this test begins, it shows up as a deep dissatisfaction that you can no longer numb. It is not the usual boredom or mood swings. It is a sense that the life you are living, no matter how successful it looks from the outside, does not match the blueprint inside your soul. You may find yourself in conversations that drain you, even though you are saying all the right things. You may be in environments where everyone else is chasing the same goals, but little by little your heart starts asking, "Why am I really here?" You might be excellent at what you do, and yet feel like you are using only a fraction of who you actually are. That ache is not ingratitude. It is misalignment. It is your purpose knocking on the inside of your life, asking to be let in. The test of purpose is not about choosing between being spiritual or being successful. It is about refusing to live split in half. If you choose only the M, you will build impressive things, but your soul will starve. If you choose only the crescent, you may feel deeply, see clearly, and meditate beautifully, but your life may never fully express what you carry. You were not sent here to escape the world. You were not sent here to get lost in it either. You were sent to become a bridge. Your work, your relationships, your presence. These are meant to be places where heaven and earth meet, where intuition guides ambition, where practicality serves something sacred. That is why the third test pushes so hard. It will not be satisfied with you choosing just one side of yourself. At first, this test can feel brutal. Plans you thought were solid begin to fall apart. Roles you built your identity on stop making sense. You may feel like the ground is being pulled out from under your feet. Old dreams collapse, not because you were unworthy, but because they were too small for who you have become. You may feel as if you are losing everything. The career that defined you, the relationships that validated you, the old version of you that knew exactly how to behave. But beneath all that loss, something truer is trying to breathe. The universe is not trying to humiliate you. It is trying to free you from a life that looked right but never fit your soul. In this season, you will be placed in situations where logic and intuition do not agree. Logic will point to what is safe. Intuition will point to what is true. The job offer that looks perfect but makes your spirit feel heavy. The path everyone says you should take versus the one that keeps appearing quietly in your dreams. One side of you will say, be sensible. The other will say, be honest. And the exam hidden inside every one of those moments is simple. Will you continue building a life that impresses others while exhausting your own soul? Or will you risk becoming the person you actually came here to be? Passing this test does not always look dramatic from the outside. Sometimes it looks like a quiet resignation email, a decision not to renew a contract, a choice to step back from people who celebrate your performance but ignore your truth. It looks like you saying, I cannot keep pretending this is enough, even when you cannot fully see what comes next. It looks like giving your yes to something that feels alive in your spirit, even when it does not yet make sense to anyone else. As you begin making these aligned choices, a strange calm often appears underneath the fear. Your mind may be anxious, but your chest feels lighter. Your nights become quieter. You start to sleep differently. You breathe differently, walk differently. That is how you know you are moving in the direction of a purpose. The universe does not require you to have a perfect 5-year plan before it supports you. It requires your willingness to stop betraying yourself. When you stop using your gifts in places that do not honor them, you create space for the right assignments to find you. When you stop forcing yourself into roles that bury your spirit, the roles that awaken your spirit begin to appear. The first invitations may be small. Someone asking for your help in an area that feels natural to you. An opportunity to speak, to write, to guide, to create, to heal in the way you've always secretly wanted. These are not random. They are the first bricks of a new path, one that uses both your M and your moon at the same time. Over time, as you keep choosing alignment over approval, a quiet integration begins. You notice that you no longer need to be a different person in different places. The one who meditates and the one who makes decisions become the same person. The one who prays and the one who signs contracts share the same spine. Your work starts to feel like an expression of your soul instead of an escape from it. Your conversations carry more depth, even if the topic is simple. Your presence begins to have weight. People feel safer, clearer, more honest when they are around you, even if they cannot explain why. This is what it means to walk in purpose. Not that your life becomes perfect, but that your inner world and outer world finally move in the same direction. This is the point where many realize the truth. Purpose was never hiding somewhere outside of them. It was waiting inside every choice where they abandoned themselves for comfort. With each new decision to stay loyal to who you are, even when it costs you something, the old division between your spiritual self and your everyday self dissolves. You become one person, whole, undivided, and when heaven sees a soul that is no longer at war with itself, something powerful is released. Opportunities that match your integrity start to chase you. Resources arrive at the exact moment you dare to step forward. The right people, the right ideas, the right timing seem to find you instead of you chasing them. This is the quiet reward of passing the third test. Not fame, not applause, alignment. The peace of finally living as the person your soul always knew you were. The strength of knowing that what you do with your hands matches what you carry in your heart. The deep satisfaction of realizing that the M and the Crescent were never meant to make your life harder. They were guiding marks, placed there to remind you, every time you look down, that you were born to build something real while staying connected to what is eternal. And once you understand that, once you feel yourself living as that bridge between heaven and earth, the journey shifts again. Because after initiation comes embodiment, learning how to protect, nurture, and walk in this purpose every single day. Once you begin to unite the M and the Crescent inside you, something subtle but profound starts to happen. Ordinary life stops feeling ordinary. The same schedule, the same streets, the same responsibilities are still there. But the way you move through them is different. You no longer wake up simply to survive the day. You wake up aware that every interaction, every decision, every word is part of a larger assignment. What used to feel random begins to feel deliberate. The person who sits next to you, the message you stumble across, the challenge that appears out of nowhere. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start to ask, "What is this showing me?" That single shift turns your life from a series of accidents into a living conversation between you and the divine. Living as a bridge soul does not mean abandoning the world and living in caves and temples. It means carrying a temple within you wherever you go. It means treating your work, whatever it is right now, as a sacred field where your energy leaves an imprint on everyone who passes through. It means realizing that the way you answer a message, the tone you use with a stranger, the patience you show when things go wrong, all of it is part of your purpose. Purpose is not only in grand gestures. It is hidden in the smallest choices, repeated daily until they shape a completely new reality. When you carry the M and the Crescent, you are not waiting for purpose to begin one day. You are already in it. The question is not, "Do I have a purpose?" The real question is, "Am I living as if I do?" At first, this level of awareness can feel heavy. You may catch yourself thinking, "So much is resting on me. What if I fail? What if I forget?" But you were never asked to be perfect. You were asked to be present. The bridge is not flawless. It is faithful. You will still have off days, moments when you react instead of respond, moments when you fall back into old patterns. The difference now is that you notice. You feel the misalignment more quickly. You apologize faster. You return to yourself sooner. That is what growth really looks like. Not never losing balance, but finding it again and again until it becomes natural. Even your failures become part of your service because they teach you compassion for others who are still struggling in the same places you've walked through. As you keep honoring this path, you may notice that your environment begins to adjust. Some people pull away because your presence quietly exposes where they are not ready to grow. Others move closer because your presence gives them permission to change. Do not chase either group. Your job is not to keep everyone comfortable. Your job is to remain aligned. The right souls will recognize your frequency without you having to perform. They will feel safe to be honest around you. They will speak differently in your presence. They will remember their own light when they look at you. That is how you know you are living your mission. Even when no one is calling you leader or healer, your energy is quietly doing both. To live this way, you begin to guard your inner world with more seriousness than ever before. You become more careful about what you consume, not from fear, but from understanding that everything you allow into your mind and heart eventually flows out through your hands. You start choosing conversations that nourish your spirit instead of feed your doubt. You become selective with where you spend your time, not because you believe you are better than others, but because you recognize that your energy is a tool, and every tool must be used with intention. You realize that rest is not laziness, it is maintenance for your mission. Solitude is no longer an escape. It is where you refuel so you can step back into the world with clarity instead of confusion. Over time, your life begins to carry a steady rhythm, silence and action, receiving and giving, listening within and showing up without. You no longer feel like two different people, the one who prays and the one who works, the one who meditates and the one who negotiates, the one who is spiritual and the one who is human. You allow all of those aspects to exist in one body, under one purpose. And something beautiful happens when you accept that unity. The marks on your hand stop feeling like a mystery and start feeling like a mirror. Every time you see them, you are reminded that you are not here by accident, that you are not lost, that you have already survived every test that was meant to break you. From that awareness, you begin to live not as someone waiting to be chosen, but as someone who finally remembers they already are. If you are still here, if these words have followed you all the way to this final moment, it is because something inside you refuses to go back to sleep. You have felt the ache of isolation, the weight of feeling everything, the strange tension of living between the seen and the unseen. You have traced the M on your palm and the crescent near your thumb and wondered if it really meant anything, or if you were just trying to make sense of pain that seemed too precise to be random. Now you know. It was never random. It was a pattern. It was a call. It was a language your soul has been speaking since before you had words. You have walked through the first test, the desert of isolation, where you learned that God sometimes removes you from rooms you are capable of surviving in, because He is preparing you for rooms you are called to transform. You tasted the sting of distance, the silence of being unseen, and yet you did not vanish. Instead, you began to recognize that your loneliness was really sacred separation, the hand of the divine setting you apart so you could finally hear your own voice without the echo of everyone else's expectations. What once felt like rejection has revealed itself as delicate protection, and your heart now understands that you were never meant to fit into spaces that could not hold the truth you carry. You moved into the second test, the awakening of intuition, where the world tried to convince you that what you knew inside was too much, too sensitive, or too irrational. Still, your body kept speaking. Your chest tightened when something was wrong. Your spirit settled when something was right. Synchronicities multiplied around you like breadcrumbs from heaven, and you stood at the threshold between logic and knowing. Somewhere along the way, you stopped asking strangers for permission to trust yourself and started honoring the whisper within as the clearest voice in the room. In that shift, life itself began to rearrange. Wrong paths dissolved. Dead-end connections fell away. What was never meant for you stopped clinging to you because you finally stopped clinging back. Then came the hardest test of all, purpose. Not the fantasy of purpose where everything is glamorous and instant, but the quiet, trembling choice to live as one whole being instead of two. The part of you that can build, lead, and manifest met the part of you that can feel, heal, and listen. And instead of fighting, they finally agreed. You began to see that success without soul is empty, and spirituality without action is incomplete. You were never meant to choose between them. You were meant to become the place where they meet. The M in your palm and the crescent near your thumb are no longer just markings. They are proof that you are capable of holding heaven in one hand and earth in the other, and walking forward without dropping either. From here on, your life will not suddenly become perfect. There will still be days when doubts knock on your door, when old fears try to slip back into your bones, when the world tempts you to choose comfort over calling. The difference is that you can no longer pretend you do not know who you are. Once you have seen yourself clearly, once you have felt the truth of your own design, you cannot unknow it. When you look at your hands now, you are not staring at random lines. You are staring at a covenant. You are staring at a reminder that your story has always been part of something larger, that every loss, every shift, every closed door was guiding you back to this exact realization. You were chosen to remember. So as you step past this moment and back into your everyday life, do it with a different posture. Walk a little taller, not from arrogance, but from alignment. Speak a little slower, knowing your words are not cheap. They carry light or they carry weight. Protect your inner world as carefully as you would guard a flame in the wind, because that flame is not just for you. It is for every soul that will one day stand in front of you feeling lost, the way you once did, and find themselves reflected in your courage. You do not have to shout your purpose into the world. You only have to live it so fully that your presence says what your mouth never has to. And when the noise rises again, when you start to question, when the old patterns of doubt whisper that you made this all up, come back to this truth. You were marked, you were guided, and you are not late. You are right on time. Place your thumb over the M, trace the crescent with your fingertip, and let your own skin remind you of what your spirit already knows. You passed the tests. You survived the fire. You did not break. You became. Now breathe, lift your head, and move forward as someone who has finally remembered why they came. Your purpose is no longer a distant idea. It is the way you choose to live from this moment on.